Hello, guys. Welcome to Unravel. On this episode, we are going to be talking about courtship and all the pre-marital concerns, and hopefully some other concerns that impact on marriage generally. But the emphasis will be pre-marital concerns. Is it okay to invest in your husband or wife to be, financially or otherwise, and how much impact should the voice of our prophets and our pastors have in the decision for whom we marry? So, to kick this off, we have Noble Abigail Damilola, and we had our Unravel some months ago, an actual event, and had so many questions. Some of them we were able to answer at the Unravel event, and a lot more we couldn't answer. But there was one particular one that basically addresses our subject today. So I'll have Dami read out the question and then respond to it.
Thank you so much, sir. Okay, so the question is I was in a relationship with a lady, and on a long run, a pastor, a prophet, gave me a prophecy that we both are fit for marriage. But after a few years, the lady traveled out of the city and met with another pastor who said we are not fit for each other and she should accept the proposal from another guy who is also in the picture to marry him. This lady loves me, but she's forced to leave me for the other guy because of the other pastor's prophecy. Please, sir, what is your advice on this situation? Should I still go back to the lady because I still love her and I supported her for her school expenses, or should I just move on with my life?
Um, Noble was laughing at the question, and I'm wondering why. But there are a few things to look at. Number one is that the whole courtship began on the premise of their pastor's word of prophecy. The relationship is now ending again on the premise of another pastor's word of prophecy. The guy has invested in the lady financially, so there's something at stake. Number four, he's under the assumption that she loves him, and of course, he still loves her. So this brings to light many things that it's critical that we speak about. Thankfully, I mean, we have here married and unmarried people. And I worry a lot about the state of courtship in our time because there are many variables that are coming into play in courtships that is complicating decisions towards marriage, and also is making it more likely for homes to be broken very early because the foundation is faulty. Okay, right? So we'll look at it from different sides. First thing to address here is the concept of courtship. I think we should start there. What exactly do we think is the concept of courtship? The first thing I would say about that is that courtship is not marriage. I think we need to put that out there. Sure. That you are in courtship, however long it has been, however tight it is, courtship is not marriage. Until the day you marry, you are not married. And many times we approach courtship as though it is confirmed marriage. It's like it is certain that because I've been in courtship with her for 4 years, 5 years, or 3 years, or 1 year, or even 6 months, we are bound to get married. And then many things are committed. In some cases, many things are compromised. And then we become utterly broken when we now wake up to realize that courtship is actually not marriage. So let us begin to talk about what exactly is courtship. I know that courtship is not marriage. I also know that courtship, I think in my own generation, is not dating. I think there's a difference between dating
and courtship. I think courtship generally is the dating that has an objective for marriage. Yes, I think so. That is when it is actually courting, because people are dating that in these days and they know they will not marry. Guaranteed. At university levels, at secondary school levels, there are people that know that we just date. So I'm not sure that's what we're trying to address here. I mean, there are a lot of people that know, there are a lot of ladies that know they need another 4-5 years to come into a marriage picture, but they are seeing someone currently now. They know. Some guys know. Some guys know. I mean, I would want to say that I'm in a circle of guys that are getting married. So, and I've known some of my friends for years, and I've seen them go from relationship to relationship. And we both knew that their past 2-3 relationships weren't going to end in marriage. But they were seeing those people at those times 6-7 years ago, 4-5 years ago. But we know on an inside count that they were not ready for marriage at the time. And even if they were ready, we all knew it wasn't going to be this lady. So at that point in time, we couldn't have called what was happening then courtship. But they were dating because they were romantically involved. Sorry, I'm trying to say, I just want us to hit that guy. That guy's assumption is too much. They pay me. I'm just waiting to build it to get to that guy. His assumption is hurting me, but let's just start from here. I'll be patient here. But
Okay, so are you trying to drive at where you actually invested financially?
it's not just that his assumption is plenty.
Yeah, but so his assumption
It's too
and
much.
probably the construct generally for him and for her is a whole lot. I mean, the moving parts is plenty.
It's too much now.
First of all, let's even agree that based on Noble's definition, they're in courtship because there was an intent for marriage.
Of
I
course.
think that's the difference between dating and courtship. Dating is that we like each other, we feel compatible, we're not talking marriage yet. You have not proposed to me, we're not engaged, we're just close friends, we're just, on a different level of friendship, right? And that, in the ideal setting, is what dating should be. Close relationship between a guy and a lady that is not with the intention for marriage, at least at the time.
Yes.
Okay, because dating can build up into
Courtship.
So dating is not courtship. Dating is that I like you, you like me, we are close, we eat lunch together, we're always together. We'll talk.
My money on you, you spend on me.
No, in Nigeria, mostly only the man spends on the
Spends
woman.
the money.
Most times.
Let's handle this
Anyway, there
properly.
are some rare cases where these days ladies spend on the guys. Okay,
It happen.
Yes, but this is courtship. These guys are determined to get married. However, from this question,
So, my own problem is, so if you are courting, I think I spoke with a friend and I was like, oh, that's people do think when you are dating, then it leads to marriage. But since we're not really talking about it, like it is only within the, let's say, Christianity context where you are like, I'm courting this person. You people already agree that we are eligible to get married. Then you meet the marriage committee, and then they start maybe this coaching before marriage. So now the thing is, if we want to put it under the Christianity context, where the prophet, because if you check the question, it was like the prophet is involved, and another prophet is involved. So clearly, everybody knew like they were getting married, of course. So now my issue is, do we trust the word of like a prophet? Sorry, like, oh, me and this person, we are like, we've met the marriage committee and we are okay. Like we've gotten like, because this is like church saying, okay, you people are okay. We've checked, we've tested you guys. You people are eligible to get married. So now, I want to get married to somebody. Must we always use that the lenses of prophets? Like, must it be under that context of, okay, the prophet says, the marriage committee says we are eligible? Like, must it always be within that context? Because now I think this guy is confused because it feels like if the prophet says we are
It should
not,
have been.
yes.
Why is another
Why
prophet
is another
going to-
person now? Because they say God is not an author of confusion. So why?
So it's just simple. The journey of marriage is highly driven by the force of conviction. Right? To enter marriage, you must enter with very strong convictions. And I was saying in one of our podcasts that in many cases, people get married and in the first 3 months of their wedding, they begin to doubt even their decision.
True.
Right? Yes. I mean, because
3 months.
exactly, because before marriage, there's a lot of butterfly flying in your stomach. All right? And when you get married, those butterflies normally die. So you need to find something else that will fly within your tummy to sustain the marriage. And that's why also it is dangerous to marry only on the premise of love. Because the thing that we call love is not exactly the kind of love that keeps a marriage. the kind of love that keeps a marriage is not the one you feel.
Truth.
It's the one that you know that you have, that fights sometimes even your feelings. Because many times in marriage, you will feel like you have stopped loving the man or the woman you've married. So that feeling of love upon which we decide to marry is a very dangerous feeling. It's not the kind of love that marriage requires. You know what I'm saying? I'm trying to say that you need to love your spouse, but the love that we normally experience prior to marriage is not the kind of love that sustains marriage. The love we normally experience before marriage, it is feeling and affection based. And the love that marriage requires is not feeling and affection based. It is decision based. It is determination based. All right? So that is the first issue, is that we are driven into marriage because we love someone. That in itself is very dangerous because we can't bank on that feeling that we call love. Number two is that there are going to be many things that will happen right at the doorstep once you get into marriage. In fact, sometimes just at the doorknob before you enter, those few weeks before you enter, when some babes they cry for their wedding day, not be say, not be
They were emotional. Like,
leave that thing. Sometimes it is
yeah,
like,
they enter.
what have I done? You know?
No, just did you.
No, but true. All right. So sometimes that overwhelming feeling hits us at the point that we know that this is
Becoming really.
is real, the point of no return.
Once I'm in, no going.
There's no going back out. You know. So that few days to marriage, that few days or few weeks, few months after marriage, there are a lot of conflicting emotions. All right. And then for a guy, for example, whom you have waited so long to unwrap your wife, suddenly she's overly
I
unwrapped.
said unwrap like gifts.
For lack of a better word to use.
So, I used to say it when we've been called sometimes to go back to school and talk to people. And I tell ladies that as a gift, ladies are usually seen as a gift for guys.
So
It's the truth. Unwrap might just be the right word.
Alright.
You see, the thing is, for church guys, usually, that inability to unwrap before marriage can be a driving force for marriage. But just after the marriage, the unwrapping happens. And that driving force is now filled. That desire is now filled. Then the real reality now sets in. See, the truth is this, but for this particular guy, and I think it's a very good thing we're doing this on a church-based sequence because church boys are suffering.
True.
I agree that church boys are going through a lot. Because also for church guys, we don't have the luxury to date before courting. The church scenario takes you straight to courting.
Cutting. You don't do
In
The
many
moment you are
cases.
going to have to be seeing someone, you have to be seeing the person with the objective to marry.
Yeah, like immediately you just see somebody like
It's what it is now.
Yes.
It's what it is now. I
Yes.
mean, there are certain churches that you can't even talk to the lady except and unless you are going through your man of God. I know they told us in our church, and I told them that there's a problem because my father is my pastor. So you want me to tell my father to ask the girl out?
father-in-law.
Yes.
How does it work?
Oh, yes.
I don't know if you understand
So I think
because
they will refer you to another pastor.
they will not really. It's what it's supposed to be. I'm just saying. And it's the problem that church boys have. So church boys have got to deal with this conviction boss is talking about, and they've got to deal with that conviction side by side, the spiritual implications that might go with their marriages. So I've got to fulfill that I have this conviction, but my conviction suddenly is subjected to the spiritual dimension of it.
Where
Somebody,
prophets are coming.
so it might be prophet, it might be pastor, it might be elder, it might be deacon. There's that spiritual side of it that has to, you have got to get that acceptance side by side your own conviction. So you can even be convinced that you're marrying this person, I like this girl, then the spiritual side sets in.
Yeah.
That's like a prophecy.
And even the spiritual side, it's very dangerous.
Yes.
When it has to be built on the voice of a third party, whoever that is. In most cases, it is the pastors or the prophets. Let's call it pastors, okay? And that is very dangerous. If I'm going to have to marry on a strong conviction, and that conviction is premised upon the voice of my pastor, it means that every time I'm in doubt, I'm
That
going
voice.
back to the voice of my pastor. It means that all that I hear, because I lack sight, all that I'm working on, all that I'm working with is the voice of my pastor. I have not seen anything in my heart, in my spirit, for that marriage. And that is dangerous because a time will come in marriage that you need to make reference to something you have seen in your spirit, seen in your heart, seen in the woman very strongly that keeps you in that marriage. If you don't have that premise of conviction that you have uncovered for yourself, and that premise is based on the voice of someone else, because many other people will speak into your marriage. So what do you do, for example, with this gentleman now, who now had a different pastor speak differently about the same situation? So what now
That's
happens?
why I said God is not an author of confusion.
Yeah, you want
So
to? Yeah.
I think aside from the side of the guys, I think even also from the side of the ladies, because I want to believe that for most guys, the way a guy is wired is different from
With the way
way
we are wired,
a lady is wired. So apart from even we hitting on the guys, even for the ladies, there's a way you grow up always submitting, because some people have some anybody can have like a dysfunctional background where you never had the opportunity to freely, even if you are
Express yourself.
convinced about something, right? You never had that opportunity really to really say all those things. You're always subject to, because that is what always looks like this person is a good person. So even when it comes to a point of when you're about to make a decision for marriage, most of the time, if you don't have the really right head or covering over
somebody
you,
that talks.
you would always want to base your decision on what somebody said, So apart from the guy's perspective, for ladies also, it's very important that the lady herself have a conviction in her heart. We are saying the same thing. I'm just talking from a lady's
Now, totally.
perspective.
I think I
Because
understand what
ladies,
you're
we are
saying.
moved by
We are moved
emotions.
by emotions.
Yes, so if that conviction is not there and you want to move it based on what somebody said, just like he said earlier, you would always wait for a third party to say something to
Something
keep
first.
you there. So spiritual covering, I'm not saying we should take out spiritual covering.
Is it third party that made that lady have two options to marry?
That's what we are saying now. That okay, what if it was the guy that actually went to meet a prophet first?
No, I don't think it matters who really met the
Who met?
prophet. I mean, it could
Yes,
be
it
the
doesn't
guy
matter
or the
now.
lady. I think the
yeah.
thing that Abigail said, which needs to be addressed, is the issue of the cover.
Yes.
We are not saying that marriages don't require covers.
No, they do.
I think that everyone requires some kind of cover. I mean,
Yes.
sometimes that cover could be your father, could be your mother,
Yes.
could be your elder sister or your elder brother.
Yes.
It's very critical that there's a cover
Yes.
upon which both of you submit an
Yes.
authority.
An authority.
All right,
True.
that authority helps to bring direction
Yes.
in many cases,
Yes.
because there are people who have been on this journey before you.
True.
All right. And if you're going to have to go into a place, you want to ask questions. I'm going into Anambra. Oh, please.
Which road will I
Which
follow?
road do I follow? All right. I'll be going to Oka. Where is the best place to stay in Oka? Where is the safest place to live in Oka? So because he has been there before me, I will naturally need to refer to him to advise me on where I should stay. And I could do that with 2 or 3 other persons who have been to that same location before me. And then it is now my duty to filter through those information
That's the point.
and narrow down to the one that is most appropriate for my commitment.
And for your conviction.
And then I now build my conviction out of that.
Yes.
You see, but when I say that, because this August said I should stay in Hotel B, that is final. Meanwhile, he's not the only one who has been to Oka. And Hotel B is not the only hotel that is there. And perhaps he stayed in Hotel B because that was what he could afford at the time. I probably have more than he did when he went to Oka and could afford a better hotel. But I didn't put that into consideration when I took my advice from him. So the things that he's telling me about his marriage may not be applicable to my marriage. Because when he got married, it was in a time when his father or his uncle brought him to marry a woman from his village. And then they married in a way that I don't have to marry. The things they are now doing as married couples may have been very functional at the time he married within the context for which he married. In my own scenario, it may be very different. So if I work only on the voice of his history, of his past, I may not be doing myself justice. So it's important to refer to covers.
Yes.
Very important. It could be spiritual covers, parental covers. It doesn't really matter. Daddy, I want to marry someone. Meet her. What do you think about her? What do you think about my decision? My pastor, I want to marry someone. What do you think about my decision? They can give you some inputs of their thoughts about your decision, but it shouldn't be based on a word of prophecy or some kind of instruction that my pastor said I should marry.
Some people say my mom dreams. I think we had a story this morning where there were 2 couples that really, really wanted to get married, and then from the guy's mom just dreamt
She prayed.
Oh, she prayed, and then she now saw a vision that the girl was falling and rising.
She was
so
climbing the steps.
then she was falling and rising, and automatically she doesn't want her son to marry the girl that is falling and rising. You know, and then this thing really caused so many. So I feel like two people getting married. Yes, you did a covering, but
Conviction.
conviction.
You must have. Yeah.
And I also think that convictions come from maturity.
Yes.
That's what beats convictions. If you want to take this in the fullness of this conversation, man, what he looked for was spiritual guidance. He needed to have spiritual maturity to be able to anchor spiritual convictions. So the thing is that we have people looking for convictions in areas they have not matured into.
Yes.
You see, if you are doing investments, man, and you're asking somebody at a particular level for certain advice, when it's giving you that advice, your maturity financially will help you build a conviction in what he's saying, if not to fly over your head. So the thing is that we have people that are lazy spiritually, they have no spiritual growth in themselves. That's why I said the guy assumed a lot. He offered no leadership.
Yeah.
No leadership.
Yes, he offered no leadership.
Because
really.
if he gets into
Yes.
married now,
He will need that prophet to lead the house.
Yes.
He offered no leadership.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, he offered no leadership because even as a person, I don't think he was mentally matured enough to guide. Because the truth is that I'm seeing someone that is not Igbo. And I am the first son of an Igbo house. You get? Just last night, I had a discussion with another friend that is going to get married by God's mercy to someone else. He's Yoruba and she's Igbo. And he just called me because I'm able to talk. And I had to convince him or tell him so much on how I still believe that intertribal marriages can work and should work. I didn't need to convince myself because I think I got matured on that wise a little bit earlier on.
Yeah.
If not, I won't see the person I am seeing for this long that I have seen the person. So what I'm saying is that to build convictions here, before you even go to people, you will need to have grown to a certain level. Like the Bible says, let one or two prophesy, let the rest judge. If you have a prophet over your life that is giving you prophecy, it is in your state to have grown enough to know, to sense that what he is saying is, and it's because that lack of leadership happened that lady had to need another prophet to second guide her that has brought them to where they are.
please don't forget that there's also another man.
It's the man one that I want to vex for.
So
He's
first of
there.
all,
He's there. I'm headed to.
I even think that sometimes even the lady in question, may have needed someone to validate her change of mind.
Her change of mind.
It's probably possible that she didn't want to do anymore.
She was ready to go, sir.
Yes.
That's why the second prophet came into play.
I think so. Yeah.
I'm in courtship as a lady, and I'm seeing somebody. Because it's as if this lady, she knows she's in courtship, but then she's trying her options. Like, if this one doesn't work, this one will
It's
work.
not as
Now,
if.
is that
Yes, I think
That's what she was doing.
that's what courtship is all about.
And I think that's something to be addressed.
Yes, because-
Yes.
That
That's what
happens
she
a
was-
lot now.
That's what she was doing, sir.
Because
yes.
our Christian brothers.
Yes.
And
Sir,
people do
this
that now.
this thing will boil down to the fact that she's left the country, she's changed orientation, she's changed exposure, and that Christian brother
It's not matching up
is
anymore.
not matching up again. And you see, the easiest way to push a Christian brother is to use a Christian perspective. So she went to another prophet.
Yeah,
That second prophet would not even know him.
that's right.
We don't even know if the first prophet they both met.
This one you change
The
that
second prophet only she met.
Yeah.
Because there was no how he met
Yes.
that prophet that's
Oh,
in the
yes.
United States.
Oh, yes.
Or
Oh,
the United Kingdom. I don't know if you get my point.
Yes.
The second prophet is he that met him and gave the guy a feedback that another prophet have said that we should no longer go together. We should now that she should now follow somebody else that's in the picture. And that first guy that is a church boy is a simp.
Yes.
Because he's not saying the other guy has always been in the future. So how am I cutting somebody that I'm sending to school, that I've met a prophet
It's terrible.
for, that we're ready to marry,
Yeah.
and I know that someone else is in the picture. And let me say this, but I will say it here everywhere. Ladies do this a lot now. A lot of ladies they date more than one guy, and they actively make one know that the second one is in the picture to put in a competitive sense. So somebody can come, you see somebody say your status and say, if you don't reply my message last night, your competition did.
That's an immature
Yeah.
It's not immature anything.
Wait,
It happens a lot now. Sadly, in the church now.
Yes.
Now I want to know.
No,
Courtship,
whatever.
dating,
The terminology-
so you go talk.
Terminology is not the
They
issue
do,
here.
yes.
They do it.
Courtship, sir.
Yes, in courtship now is very, very normal in churches.
Yes.
I mean, where you see a guy having 2 or 3 options concurrently.
Yes.
I've
You
seen
see,
5.
Yeah, you see a lady also having 2, 3, or 4.
Emphasis was on ladies. Like,
But ladies
No, ladies do it. Ladies do it now.
I would say ladies do
Ladies
it because
do it
we did a
now.
podcast where we spoke about corruption of the church, right?
Yes.
And this sink into the point of, I think, even while we're having a podcast about anatomy of poverty, which we would see if you check the YouTube channel, you see it there. And we talked about what we see, right? What you see. And the truth is, let's be honest, as a lady, your sight, what you see, if you don't see beyond the current, it can influence your decision.
So maybe they have to weigh the options.
That's the point. Yes.
Right? Okay, I have 2-3 guys. One is actually very kind to me.
Yes.
But one is more comfortable.
Yes.
And the other one is more
and they
authoritative.
said, so I realized somewhere that we ladies, we choose who we want to marry, like we are choosing a job.
Not all ladies, so.
That's
Yeah. No, yeah, but it happens.
Most.
It happens. Yes, it happens a lot now.
Please pay me well.
Exactly.
And
Yes.
look at this in his sense, man. The guy I believed he had more belief in the lady than the lady had in him.
Yes.
Because he had belief enough to take her to school, abroad, to be here and be waiting for her to come back. So usually when people date early, I was talking to my younger brother about it. I told him, I said, you have to be careful if you want to date early. Because usually I've realized that when people date early, it is actually the guy that has more belief in the girl.
True.
But most ladies spin that as though I was with you when you had nothing. What were you doing with me when I had nothing?
Yeah.
She was with you.
What were you doing with me?
Yeah.
Well, you two had nothing now.
Oh, yes.
And they both had nothing.
Oh,
So
yes.
why do you not spin it online that you
Yeah,
were with me?
That actually plays out in too many other ways. Sometimes the guy could end up marrying the lady, then the guy becomes properly successful. Then the wife now, the lady now becomes the wife, and then she feels very, very, for lack of a better word, entitled. Because I mean, as a wife, you should be entitled.
Entitled, of course,
okay,
yes.
yeah. But she feels, okay, let me use a different word, very demanding. And then when he tries to bring a balance, she says, look, I was with you when you had nothing. And in many cases, let me say this with all due respect to these women, in many cases, she had no impact on what he has become.
Yes.
He would have still become what he is, even if he was married to somebody else. Then she will make it look as though I was there when you had nothing. Now you have a lot. You cannot say no to what I'm asking for. So she becomes overly demanding. And then when the man is trying to be reasonable, she takes offense, not at his refusal, at his being reasonable. Like, this you're asking for is a bit too much. And she said, no, you must give it to me. She's not working. She's just depending on the guy's new lifestyle, new success. And then the thing is that because I was there when you had nothing, so it plays both ways.
Yes, actually.
All right.
It does.
So sometimes it's used to even fight the man who has become successful. Other times it's also used to fight the woman.
Yes, actually. Some guys actually do that.
Yes. I say we were together when you had nothing. Now all the money you have, I want to know how much you are being paid. No. It's my salary. I will honor you with it and show it to you. But it is not your money.
Yes,
you know what I'm saying? So all that kind of balance is critical. I want to touch on what Noble said about maturity. I think that most people who make reference to third voices, fourth voices, or fifth voices, or have these alternate plans in view while in commitment to a person, just shows the level of immaturity that we have.
Yes.
And marriage is not meant for immature people. You must attain a measure of maturity before you dare to marry. You must. And whoever you also want to marry, you must probe their level of maturity before you make any commitment to agreeing. Because the moving parts in marriage, there are so many. All right? The moment you become married, there are many things that you will experience in marriage that you will never hear at a marriage seminar. And then while you're trying to survive that reality in marriage, you now become a parent. Parenthood is a game changer. It's a life changer. And with all of the blessings that comes with parenthood, it changes your life in a way that you now begin to understand the true meaning of selflessness. All right? And what that does to you also is that once parenthood hits you, and you have to deal as a mother, for example, with all the sleepless nights, or as a husband, not able to touch your wife for 9 months or for 6 months, or if I can say it here, some men find it difficult to even touch their wives because of the wife breastfeeding the child. because now looks like the
They
child.
not here. You don't marry.
Because it looks like the child. Yeah, it looks like the child owns the child owns the assets now more than the husband.
Okay, so like he's leaving it because he feels like, or because
It's turn by turn.
Yeah, I mean, even besides the fact that besides all the biological part of it, because even the biological part of it, the woman feels more sore.
Yes, no.
All right, around the asset, and then
She was
the
the one that
asset.
nodded first.
You see,
It's happy that nodded first.
so the asset now becomes more of a feeding
Yes.
Yeah, for the child.
feeding thing than a romance thing. Right? So the man deals with his own struggle. A lot of men that you find cheating during
So this
marriage,
one now, they won't tell us in marriage seminar.
you hear
You will hear this one.
You'll hear it. So many men who cheat sometimes in marriages, it usually begins within the season of pregnancy and post-pregnancy.
postpartum.
All right, yeah, because when the woman gives birth, she's dealing with a lot of issues hormonally.
Yes.
She's having sleepless nights, and the man
What
is
is
in
cheating?
need. All right, the man is not having to,
She gets
forgo
fat.
everything.
Maybe she gets fat.
So many moving parts. Now, so
issues.
imagine that you're not mature.
She's not ready for a fat party.
Yes, exactly. Yes.
Issues, my sister.
The woman had weight. She's probably even dripping. All right. So the man has to deal with all of that. The woman is also being irritated by the man because she just already feeling overly worked by attending to their child. All right. Now all of this happens. So imagine when a man or a woman gets into this life without being properly matured.
Yes.
Leadership.
All right. Exactly. So now you're not entering this whole dynamics on the premise of what my pastor said.
Yes.
It can't stand. And there are many other things that were not mentioned here.
So, sir, should a man show his level of leadership in courtship, or he should maybe
Exactly.
Yes.
Courtship is marriage in experiment.
Yes.
So, sir, what is the line between courtship and marriage? Like, what are the things you're supposed to do? Because this time is invested for her school expenses.
So let's touch that now. Now that's a very
For that financial.
that happens a lot, but let's put it out there that a lot of times, sometimes women are more financially stable than the men, even
Yes,
in courtship.
yes.
So in many cases, the woman is the one even giving to the guy
Investing.
more.
Actually,
All right. So the guy
there are
takes-
those scenarios.
It happens now also.
Women give to who they love.
Exactly. So do men. So the thing here is this.
You want data?
Okay, fine.
Yeah.
So I'm just saying, like, we just.
But men do that as well.
Yes, true.
So if you are given a courtship,
How much should I give?
it's not even how much first. It's why are you giving?
Yes, I agree. It's more the why than the
how.
volume.
The volume. Yes. It's why are you
It's
giving?
why are you giving?
Yeah. So because if you're giving as a form of investment for which you're expecting a return, you may be taking too much of a risk.
Yes.
That's why I said that the kind of
Courtship.
love.
Okay.
Yes.
I was going to hit why you said that. Why you opened for us and told us that courtship is not marriage.
It's not marriage. It's not
and
marriage.
courtship
Yes.
might not end
in marriage. So
So
that's
if you take this investment pattern that Baba is pointing out now to, you're already having a problem because it's like you are putting in money that you are expecting to
A
reap
return.
from,
So, yeah.
but there is no
Marriage.
guarantee,
There's no guarantee.
on the reaping because he told us earlier that
There's no
courtship
guarantee.
is not marriage. So we need to. It was good we opened with that because
Yes.
it has built the foundation to which we can now hit this. Now you know that this thing will not get here.
Yes.
It might not get here. It might get. So why do you
And
want to
even
throw
when
in?
it does, don't feel so demanding afterwards.
Of course.
So like you pinpoint like a woman staying with a man for a while, and then when he had nothing, and then now he has, then she's not like, you have to give me, like, she already had that expectation in her head during
Yeah,
courtship, like,
yeah.
okay, he doesn't have anything. Now this is not about even investing. Like, to her now, her presence alone is the investment.
Mad.
Do you understand?
Yeah. No. Yeah.
That's mentally.
Can you imagine?
I'm just saying. For the women,
Yeah.
our presence now.
How can the presence be just investment?
I stay with you.
Something I know this girl.
How about his investment?
I'm not telling for myself, I'm saying for the immature lady.
Wow.
Okay,
Right?
yes.
Like, please, nobody should hold my neck on this one. So I'm saying, it's not about like the why. Like, so many people have whys. Like, they have reasons why they're in courtship. Like, okay, I'm standing with, he doesn't even have, this is somebody that doesn't even have, when a man has, okay, he's giving me something, later I might really have a profit, like an interest on whatever it is he's giving. But this man doesn't even have anything at all.
Yeah.
But she's standing with him because he has potential. at some point it will blow.
Yeah, I mean, there's nothing wrong with that. If my conviction for a person is that she's got potential,
Yes, sir.
I like the potential of the kind of woman she becomes, either as a woman, as a mother, as a wife. There's nothing wrong with that. Because by the signs of marriage, marriage is meant to be very intentional. So there's a place I am going to. It is her that is suitable for that place. There's nothing wrong with that. And usually that person suitable for that place is always captured as a potential in courtship. Because it's not yet there. That thing or that person hasn't materialized.
Yes.
So I like him, but he has a potential of greatness. He is driving a bicycle now, but I can see greatness in him. There's nothing wrong if you are drawn to that. Because it's an intentional transaction. And, marriage is a covenant, right? If it's a covenant, it's safe to say that marriage is a contract.
Yes.
Because, I mean...
Essentially, covenants are contracts.
Yes, right? So if marriage is a contract and it's a covenant, anything that happens before you sign that contract can't hold.
Yes.
So if you are now pouring money into the woman, except you have signed the contract, she has a right to bounce anytime.
Yes.
Even if you give her 1 billion, there's no contract. It's courtship. Courtship is just the place where you warm up yourselves to sign on the contract. It is where you experiment all the prospects and the potentials of what you both can become.
Of what you both, not what another person.
Yeah, but I mean, but my point is that if you are in that experiment, do not think that everything that is final. So if you are investing in the woman, don't think that investment is final.
Yes.
You have the right to still walk away in spite of your investment. She also has a right to walk away in spite of your investment.
Yes.
And the same way that men give to women, let me say this now, women also give to men.
Yes.
And if I may say, the things that women give to men in many cases are things that money can buy.
Yes.
And that's why...
So the way you said yes.
No, yeah, but it's in the best interest of the woman, actually.
I agree.
Because a woman sometimes... See, let me give you a simple example. What virginity is, I'm not a big preacher of virginity, don't get me wrong, but let me just say that here. What virginity is to a woman is more special than what it is to a man. A man doesn't need to brag and say, I'm a virgin. But for a woman, it's something to say, you know what I'm saying?
Really?
Yeah, but a woman can, it's like her bragging rights. My perception on virginity is that it is honorable when a woman is a virgin. But virginity is not the bedrock of a woman's honor.
Yes.
Whatever you can undo with one action is not something you can build your future on. All right? There are many women that are not virgins that have better characters than the ones who are virgins. Sure. Because character you can't
get
undo.
Virgin, we get bad.
Yes, you can't undo character with one action.
Bad character.
But you can undo virginity with one action. However, it is honorable to be a virgin. Let's just put it out there. But my point is that so when a woman gives herself to a man, because in many climes, women give their bodies to men, even in courtship. Even in church, mostly in churches.
Yes, sir.
Straight bullet.
Sadly so.
Sadly.
All right? Number two, a woman will probably go to the guy's house every weekend or to go and wash his clothes,
And cook
cook for him,
family.
clean his house, serve the guy's mother.
Sometimes they even used to go to the mountains to go and pray for him.
Yes. So see, all of this
The way they talk this.
money can buy it. All right. So even though we are emphasizing on the investments that men can make financially in a woman, women also make a lot of priceless investments in the men that money cannot buy. Now, whatever you are giving to a man in courtship and whatever you're giving to a woman in courtship must be things that you can walk away from.
Yes.
Period.
Very important.
Yes. If you feel that it is too much to walk away from,
Don't give it.
don't give it because there's no contract in courtship.
So do you know that the importance, like you said, like really we are wired differently. So the women, you know, when we talk about virginity, does it? So same thing with men too. Like this man investing in that lady to take her abroad, it feels a big thing. But to the other lady, like to the lady, that's the other party.
Yeah.
She's like, it's really not. So if I even walk away from this, it doesn't really take anything from me. But to the guy, it's taking a lot from you, like mentally. Probably you had even borrowed money to even do
Yeah.
all those things. So like I understand your point where you said you should not give what you
Yeah,
don't
yeah,
know.
yeah. So there's a case right now.
Yes, sir.
There's a guy. They were in courtship, right? And then real story. And he left for a country. I don't mention the country. And he left for a country. And then while he was there, he wanted, he was a courtship and he was loyal to the woman. So he made all the plans to have the woman also relocate to that country. All right, at his expense.
That's a big thing for the guy.
Yes, because he was just trying to be loyal. Okay,
Sure.
I told her that let me go first. When I go, you will join me. Right? So he left, and true to his promise, he made arrangements for her to come. That is investment number one.
101.
Number two investment is that, of course, he had got his papers, obviously, because for him to be able to bring her, it means that he has his papers. So he used his own papers to bring her in, and then to make her own papers quicker, of course, if they got married, it will help. So they got married. And now, in this particular scenario, I don't know about their faith background or their spiritual background, but they were already sexually active while they were both in Nigeria. When they now moved to this country, and she now came to join him, they now got married properly. And suddenly, the woman won't allow him touch her in marriage. And her excuse is that, look, just let me settle in this country. Let me find myself properly. Let me settle down. And this took, the time I heard this story, it had been at least 6 months.
She wants to find herself way.
After marriage.
So let's use
And the guys confused. I was like, I don't get it.
you find yourself.
Yeah. So now his issue is that he's already stuck
Yes.
in marriage. He's stuck in marriage. Now, whatever engineered that courtship, right? Whether it's by advice, by love, or by prophecy, I don't know. But the point is that you can see that there's a crack somewhere.
Yes.
And I promise you that in many cases, these cracks are more visible than we like to admit. The man that beats his wife had shown the wife the crack of his ability to beat a woman. She just refused to see it.
Yes. Patterns.
The woman that is rebellious to her husband had shown the cracks that she has those tendencies. The man just refused to see it by the force of love or emotion or attraction or whatever it is, or by prophecy. Okay? So many times, whatever we see in marriage that we enjoy or that we lament over are things that we have sensed or seen many times well enough.
Yes.
And then we excuse it away. All right? This also plays out with potentials that we see. So when you date a guy who seems not to be doing so well, and then you leave him for another guy, and then the one you left is now so wealthy, you're not feeling angry. The truth is, you saw that potential in him, that he could be wealthy. Just that because the woman just was unwilling to wait. So good or bad, that's the point I'm making here. Good or bad, the things that we see in marriage usually shows their head in courtship, but we just take it for granted in many cases, because of what Noble said, because we lack the maturity. Because maturity will afford you a way to interpret the things that you perceive.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? That interpretation of perception is critical in courtship, because that is one of the fundamental functions of courtship.
That's even part of the essence.
Is to perceive something and find the interpretation for it. You may have the ability to perceive it, but you may lack the maturity to interpret it.
Okay, sir, so if I'm not mature, I should not get into courtship.
No, see what he's saying now. He's saying
A
that
measure of
you
maturity.
might just be matured enough to perceive it. You cannot interpret it. Maybe that is where covers, guides will come in to show them. I'm saying that this person is doing like this. So I don't know. Then somebody cannot tell you, somebody is doing like this. The person might most likely be like this. And let's talk something about patterns. People usually are like animals. We behave in patterns. It's the truth. I tell people that if you are dating someone, look out for patterns, look out for the person's progress. Check how somebody can be telling you, a guy can be telling you, I will make it. But look at the way he treated 10K. Look at the way he treated when he had 100,000. You've got to check it.
Yes.
Was he progressive with 10,000? Was he progressive with 100,000? Was he progressive with 1 million? He's not progressing on any scale. He's not progressing. He's not even progressing in the way he's dressing.
Yeah.
He's still dressing the way he was dressing 3 years ago. Check it. Check his patterns. Check those small things. These small things are usually 18 to come. Just yesterday, we were arguing with somebody because the person said she could not cook jollof rice for 6 people. That she
Why?
can cook jollof rice for small people, she can't cook it for big people. And I was telling her that
Yeah,
the average family is 6. The average Nigerian family is 6. Are you saying that if I marry you and we give birth to 4 children, we'll not jollof rice in our house?
That's right.
You see, that thing she said was small. But I don't looked at it in progress
Yes.
and in patterns.
Yes.
If we get married together now and we give birth to 4 children, are you saying that we are doomed to
You
not
are family
eating
oriented.
sweet jello? No, but it's the truth.
And for some other men,
Yes.
it doesn't matter that
Yes.
the woman can cook.
They won't mind.
Some other men just feel like
No
you
problem.
don't have
We'll
to
get
cook.
chef. This
Yes,
is
all right, yeah. Or sometimes
Some people even say
the,
that.
the men prefer to even cook.
Yeah, they say, I'm
Yeah.
not a chef. I didn't marry as a chef. I married as a wife.
Yeah, so that depends on your preference. Like I
Yes.
said, so these are things that you spell out and define within the context of courtship. And I'll give a warning here, which I don't think I would normally do publicly, but with the exposure I've had with counseling with people, I should say this in public. As a lady, I strongly advise against sending some kind of pictures to your fiance.
Sir, very important.
Right?
I want you to.
All right. So let me just put it, yeah, because some women truly, are very decent in nature. They may not even have any, sexual thing with the man, but in a way to just keep the vibe and the thing going.
Rolling.
Yeah, they will just send some kind of pictures.
So is the man that we would demand it? Just send me a sexy picture.
Not always.
Some Christian
You don't
brothers.
accuse Christian brothers
Not
now.
always.
I said some.
Yeah, but in some cases, I
Some
agree.
cases,
I agree. So whatever the demands are, like I said, do not give what you are not able
To walk away from.
from. When you send out your picture to that brother,
He's gone.
if he is a brother, if he's a brother, yeah, you don't know where that picture will get to, especially in this online
Even
generation.
from your phone.
All
sir.
right, it's
Just even
dangerous.
take it on your phone.
Yes,
Ah,
so and this advice also goes to married couples. It also goes to married couples. I'll tell you a story. Years ago, I was working with someone, and so we were in the field, and we had a camera we're using to work, for site works and stuff like that. And I was the one who was in custody of that camera. So this is my own personal experience. And I was meant to take pictures and all that of the site we were working on at the time. This was many, many years ago. And after I did, I was just scrolling through pictures taken. And lo and behold, I fell upon the naked pictures of the man's wife. Now, if I was a dubious person,
You would have sent it to your own phone.
just send it over. All right.
Like me.
All right, you know what I'm saying? Like literally, like butt naked pictures. And clearly, they were meant for only the eyes of the husband. All right? For some reason, he had not moved the pictures out, and they were still there. All right? So we need to be very, very careful, how we leave these things around. And of course, the emphasis here is for courtship, but even for married people, find other ways to be romantic. The man has seen you naked 1 million times. He may not need your picture on his phone to remind you what you look like being naked. So be very careful, even as a married woman or a married man, how you share around nude pictures of yourselves, especially
Be flying up and down.
when it's sexual in nature, because it can just backfire,
Yeah, it will backfire.
especially in courtship. And sometimes, like this guy, for example, now, imagine if this guy has such pictures of such a lady who has done, he'll just put it out there. Put it out there.
Yeah, okay.
Yes.
Okay, yeah. So I think we've addressed the courtship phase, part of marriage. And I'd also like to say, because what we're talking about so applies to people who are probably young and waiting for a period where they'll be in a relationship and they'll get married. Because we are in a stage where we see a lot online, and most times, if you are pretty young, you're waiting for that time where you want to also share your love videos. That's so for
Express yourself.
yes. So for people who are probably not married, young and growing, what you should be focused on really is developing yourself. We are talking about maturity, and most of the things we are addressing here, if everybody has a level of maturity, it will help your decision making and a lot of things around. So for people who are probably younger, looking forward to getting married, or you're younger, you have Instagram and Facebook, you're seeing plenty love pictures, love videos, and you're just sometimes people are just waiting for the time when it's my time to love. Just focus on building yourself, focus on maturing as a person, focus in every area of your life, whether
every area.
spiritually, emotionally, work wise, career wise. Focus on developing yourself, because the level at which you have developed yourself, when is the time for you to probably get into a relationship, it will play a great role. So don't just sit there and wait for the time where you also share your love picture online. All you see, what you see is not just the you see just, let's say, 5 to 10% by the picture. There are so many things behind the picture that you don't see. There are so many things behind the video you see on Instagram and on Facebook that you don't see. And if you just base your judgments on your life based on what you see on social media, it's very dangerous to your
Like
life.
a point where they
Yes.
said a man already even beats his wife before they went to church.
Yeah.
Thanksgiving. They are going for their wedding anniversary, but the wife already beat the wife the wife already beat the husband. Then
Yeah.
beat the man. Then they
So
now went
yeah,
to church.
but that's the
The
danger
wife
of
beat the husband.
Yes.
yeah, but that happens a lot now.
Things they solve. Oh.
Women beat their husbands now. But that's the risk of also putting too much out there before marriage. You see, when you also over announce your courtship commitment and you make it too public
If it goes
on
by,
social
you
media.
pay.
Yeah, so you see, when the man now wants to walk away, or when the woman now wants to walk away, you actually do not mind them walking away, except that you're now wondering how to deal with reversing all the things you have said so sweetly and shown so sweetly about that person online. So many times that we're heartbroken, we're actually heartbroken not for what we feel about their living. We're heartbroken for what we feel about people's impressions when they discover that this person that I've said is the love of my life has not left. And
Yeah,
we're
used to
showing
pepper
pictures
us.
everywhere.
So now you leave it now. Then bring another person to the picture. They'll be like, are you sure this thing you said
Yes.
was
Okay, but for a spiritual context, yes, I also don't think that prophecies are bad. Sir.
Yes.
And it's also possible that the both prophets were correct, because usually the durations to which prophecies come to pass are time and
Time-bound.
person intervened. It means that the prophecy can come up and you can do something about it that makes it change. So maybe when the first prophet prophesied, they were good together. Somebody went and did something that made them no longer to be good together. The second prophet prophesied. I'm just saying that so that we don't run down the basic places of spiritual context. There's all of that, but it is still subject to what we have said.
Maturity.
You will need the
Yes.
convictions of maturity to pinpoint them. So seeing a prophet,
It's just like saying, people like you coming to meet your dad, your mom, or your uncle, trying to ask their opinions about something, and then because of the fact that my dad has already seen me and this guy like we are perfect, and it's even my friend's son. He will say, "Oh, you people are perfect match." Then you come to meet your mother, and then the mother is like, "No, I don't like." Everybody's going to have opinions, but then the Bible says you should not be swayed by. So that's where the maturity actually sets in.
Yeah, so
Be
I'm
swayed by different
yeah. So I mean, the
opinions.
thing is that in most cases, by my experience, prophecies, when God gives a prophecy, it's usually to confirm something He has prompted in you beforehand. In most cases, if you are truly in the Spirit, whenever God issues out a prophecy, a word of prophecy, almost 99% of the time, it will confirm something that He was already prompting in your spirit before that day. Right? And it still comes back to being spiritually mature. So I agree that we agreed that having covers are important. It could be spiritual covers, it could be parental covers, right? It could be your mentors, it could be your guardian. So having covers, they are very critical because people have already been to where you are trying to get to.
yes.
So having a spiritual cover is very critical. Listen to your pastor or to your prophet or to your father or to your mother or to your elder brother or sister or your mentor is very important. But you must have the maturity that qualifies you to apply that cover. Because if you don't have maturity,
How do you not? Sorry, sir. How do you not deal with the chances when you have to go against these covers? Because it's like also what is going to happen to him now. He wants to go. He's confused whether to go against the prophet now. Since second prophet have said it's not him, but he still likes the girl.
Yes.
So should he go and go against that second prophet now, or should he just obey that words of prophecy? So how do people finally take this stand, take this step when they're in this situation?
yeah, so I mean, once you develop that, the first thing will be back to your relationship with God and your walk with God. If that is actually in place, then this will not be a problem. You know, there was a prophet that God gave a word to go and do something. And he said, when you get there and you give this word of prophecy to the king, do not sleep there, do not eat there. If I'm
Just coming back.
just leave. While he was leaving, an elder
Prophet.
prophet
Stopped him.
stopped him and said, come, let's eat before you go. He said, no. I heard from God clearly not to.
Eat or drink.
But the elder said,
The
I'm
way I see
elder.
no you for this prophet.
This you have been doing, man. Leave that.
It's our work.
You have been doing this for a long time. Just come and eat for you. And he ate. And he died.
Yes.
True.
All right. So many times we get words of prophecy. Like I said, you have that proud conviction or something provoking something in your spirit. Then the word of prophecy confirms it. Other times, even the person who issues prophecy can issue prophecy either by the spirit or by emotion.
Experience sometimes.
Or by experience. Yes, you're very correct. So because he knows the pattern of what you are saying, he gives it as a word of prophecy. And that's also part of the plague of the church, that we feel a compelling need to make our thoughts God's words.
Yes.
When Paul spoke in the epistles, he would say sometimes, this one, it is me speaking, not God. So there's this compelling need of pastors to say, thus saith the Lord. Even if what they are saying is what they are saying, not what God is saying.
Okay.
But to validate what they are saying, they premise it on that God said. So it still comes back to your level of discernment. Every believer, as long as you are willing to take words of prophecy, must have a measure of
maturity.
discernment. All right? And that discernment must be Bible-based. So you can apply what is being said. Because someone can wake up tomorrow and say that your mother is a witch. And that can breed generational wars.
Yes.
Even though that word came by prophecy. And in some cases, even if that were true, that word may have come against the will of God. A lady followed the apostles who was operating by a different spirit and said, these are men of God. Listen to them. But she was not speaking by the Spirit of God.
Yes.
And then the apostles rebuked her, even though the things she said were true. You see what I'm saying? So that level of discernment is very critical. And most believers today don't want to have any personal walk with God. So their prayer time is online. Their study time is online. Everything is dependent on their pastor. So they have no direct connection with an experience with God themselves. So I think that's where the real issue is. If you don't have that gap, if you're a man or woman who doesn't have that foundation, then you have no choice but to depend on what your pastor says. But ultimately, I think the bedrock of all we said here is that courtship, first, even before marriage, courtship requires maturity. Number two, courtship is a place where you find conviction before you enter marriage. Number three, whatever you invest in courtship must be what you are willing to walk away from, because courtship is not marriage.
So, sir, if you have to walk away from it, you have to deal with the pain. Is that it?
Yes.
If you have overinvested.
Yes. So if you have overinvested, you have,
don't
because I mean, there's no contract.
Sir, which one is
There's no
overinvested?
covenant.
That's overinvestment.
Yes,
oh.
there are overinvestments.
There are
For example,
overinvestments.
the guy who brought this woman to where he was staying, he overinvested.
Yes.
This guy now who sent her to school, you're not her father. You mustn't pay her school fees.
Yes.
All right? So sometimes people overgive out of love, out of passion, out of promises. And marriage is different from courtship. All right, you can give everything. In fact, you co-own everything in marriage, not in courtship. So let me allow.
So my closing thought is a question.
Yeah.
My closing thought. In courtship, there are people that have overgiven because at that time it felt so good. So people have even changed documents to bear your names.
Yeah.
People have done all of those stuff. Are we saying that if it doesn't work, because they end up broken, and usually they don't find themselves able to love at that level again. So what is the remedy for people that are in that situation?
They have to move on. There's no remedy.
You move on.
Because, see, however much you hate on the person who has walked away, you can't blame them because you were not in a contract. I mean, that's the point here.
Yeah.
There was no covenant. If you like,
They say yes.
if you like, give your liver, give your kidney.
That's what they are
People
saying.
are giving
That's why
kidneys,
you-
oh.
Yes, there is no covenant.
You know, they talk about virginity. Like women put it on their head, like I'm a virgin. And this guy took my virginity and all.
Yeah, I mean,
They move on.
well, yeah, it's not marriage.
No marriage.
There's nothing you can do about it. You must heal and move on. And if some of the scar effect is that you're not able to give at that level again, then deal with it.
At the time.
Because some men truly, it may take them 20 years to be able to love and give that much anymore. You know, but I mean, it's part of the scar. You must find a way to live beyond that. And then you can't make your current wife now become a victim of your
That's what I was
of your
past.
past.
Yes, because people are
People
always
unhealed.
yes, people always now transfer that.
because that is dangerous.
Yes.
You can't make your current spouse become the victim of the
Something
brokenness that somebody else
Yes.
initiated. That also will be evil on your part.
Right. We've said a lot, and we mentioned many things. We said courtship is not marriage. Marriage is not courtship. During that line, be sure that whatever you give, you can walk away from. And as an individual, probably waiting to get to the point of being in a relationship, ensure that you focus on growing spiritual maturity and every other area of your life. Emotional maturity too, very important. Just keep growing. Even while in courtship, you keep growing. So just keep growing, basically.
And
Keep
if you are
growing.
giving too much already, maybe you're coaching.
Deal with the pain.
Deal with it. Move on.
And
And
don't
then when you
transfer the
move
pain.
on,
Don't
please
transfer
don't
the
transfer the
pain.
pain
Yes.
on someone that doesn't even know the battles or whatever it is that you've gone through.
All right, guys. Thank you so much. See you on the next one.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Wow.